The Well Women Wednesday. I'm Nikiea Drummond. I am founder of the Well and founding executive director of She's Well Network. I'm excited to be here today. Always excited for these conversations because I get the opportunity to talk to an amazing woman in business. And primarily, I get to talk to one of our amazing members of the Well. Today, I'm talking with a relatively new member to the Well, but not new member really to working with us. We've had an opportunity to collaborate with this lady over the last year, even before she joined. It's always a testament to me when somebody joins us after working with us on a project. And so I'm really excited to talk to her. She's also my namesake, also named Nikiea, and her son's name is almost like my son's name too. And we're both boy moms. So we've got multiple things in common, including being business owners. And I'm really just looking forward to connecting with her around her businesses. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest for the day, Nikiea Redmond. She is the founder of the Design Collab. She's an entrepreneur with over 10 years experience in building building brands and developing authors, entrepreneurs for schools, nonprofits, organizations, and community partners, and also has provided a platform to authentically serve her clients, tell their stories, help them to put their brands and their businesses out there with ease. And I can attest to her amazing and beautiful work in that space. She's also proud collaborator, co-director, and co-producer of an award-winning feature-length documentary called Anatomy of Wings. So Nikiea is multifaceted as an entrepreneur, and primarily in all of these spaces, she is telling stories and helping others tell theirs. So Nikiea, thank you for being here with me today. You're outside in the sun. Yes, we are getting some warm weather.
Yes.
And I'm happy about that personally. Clearly, you like being out in the sun. What didn't I
Yes.
share in my introduction that you want people to know about you?
Something that is new for me is discovering more of what my art means, and as far as entrepreneurship, and writing a lot. And soon I'll be in these storytelling writing workshops. So I'm excited about that because it aligns with some of the self-publishing work that I've been able to do with authors, aspiring authors. So you named everything
Awesome.
that I'm up to right
Awesome.
now.
Awesome.
But I'm excited. Yes.
Great. So, listen, always ask women to reflect on and call out their superpower when I interview them. So, what is your superpower and how do you use it in your business and life and other spaces?
I would say that my superpower is learning how to listen to clients.
Mhm.
Because I've been a graphic designer for so long, I've been able to almost sense how a client is going to work just by meeting them. Um, and I think that, especially coming from a graphic design background, it's important to be able to feel out what people are asking for because sometimes people don't know. Um, so I feel like that's my superpower. Just being able to like soak in like who that person is and like listen to figure out like what could possibly be needed or what I can bring to the table.
That's awesome. Listening is one of my superpowers too. Listening to clients too. You learn so much when you just like hear them, just let them talk. You really do learn a lot about what they want, what they don't want, what they don't understand about what they're doing and what they desire. So that's awesome. And I hear you are outside with the kitties,
Yes.
soaking in the sun as well. They're living their best life. And like as you're sitting there, I'm just thinking about the power of entrepreneurship in designing your life. I know you call your business the Design Collab, and one of my like hashtags or things that I say is life by design, and like my Instagram is Nikiea by design because I'm trying to be very intentional about a life that I am designing. Right, because I'm Nikiea by design and you're designed by Nikiea, right?
Yes.
That's so funny on
Yes.
Instagram. So, I'm trying to be very intentional about living a life that is intentional and designed. And so what led you into entrepreneurship, right? Like, was it about flexibility and freedom? Was it like, what led you here? Because you're sitting out and soaking in the sun, and you could be in somebody's office building doing all the things that you're doing. Was it that you felt like you had a better way to do it, or that you wanted a certain life and lifestyle for yourself?
Well, now it's all about lifestyle because I have a 4 year old, newly turned 4 year old who says he's 94. So if you can imagine how much energy I have to harness every day. Um, so I feel like becoming a mother made me realize that this is the kind of schedule I'm probably going to have for a little while until I get more
Yeah.
help. Um, Also, I'm a single mom right now. I don't really like saying that because one day I won't be a single mom, but at this moment I am. So it's just like managing that. I've had a few other jobs, but it's just nothing is like being able to be home with my son and knowing that I can still eat.
Yeah.
But initially, I was raised by entrepreneurs. My dad, he
Hmm.
owned a florist shop downtown. My mom she owned a community restaurant in East Baltimore for like 30 some years,
Oh,
since the late
wow.
70s. So it's just a part of my fiber. My grandparents, like it's just a part of my
Yeah.
lifestyle. Definitely had like regular 9 to 5 jobs. I used to work with youth development before I started to do design, managing after school programs. But once I started to get into design, really it was just a matter of like mindset and having people around me telling me, like, if you're going to be a designer, just say you want to be a designer. And it was actually one of my friends from the Anatomy of Wings film that I worked on. And ever since then, I was a designer. I mean, I always
Yeah.
had been helping people with books. That was like a thing that I did. I really didn't charge as much, but then I started to like get into this whole entrepreneurship model of being a solo entrepreneur, which is different than my mom's store and my dad's floral shop, right? And also a designer, which is also different. It's like art for hire, which is a whole nother level of entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
now I mean, it's actually been 12 years now. I miss celebrating my 10-year anniversary because I just had to remember how long it's like. Sometimes that's why I joined the Well, because I needed a group. I know that I just needed more grounding as far as like moving forward, because there's
Yeah.
only so much
Yeah.
you can do as a solo entrepreneur. And I've known that for a few years now. Before the pandemic, before I had my son, I knew. But just finding the nuances and what group was right for me. And I'm so glad that I found the Well, because it feels like I just feel comfortable
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
hopefully that's a
good,
long way of
good.
me
That's
saying
beautiful.
it's been
I'm
percolating.
glad. I'm glad you're home. Welcome home. Glad you feel comfortable. I'm so intrigued by the story of your parents and, what that has taught you about, the seasons, the cycles of entrepreneurship and all of that, because so many of us are first generation entrepreneurs. You hear people talk about first generation college students, but I don't feel like you hear people talk so much about first generation entrepreneurship. And that's a thing, right? If you haven't seen models of, what it looks like for it to do this, and what it looks like for you to know when to hire somebody and when to you to be the one to do the thing, and all of that, know what it's like to go after resources and funds and just all the things. And I'm sure there's plenty of things that your parents have experienced as entrepreneurs that they weren't necessarily communicating with you because you were their child, and they just wanted you to know you were taken care of and you didn't need to worry about all the things. But hopefully they have shared some of their journey with you and some of and you've seen also just in living with them what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And so what have you learned? Like, what's the biggest lessons you learned by being the child of two entrepreneurs?
I know for sure Of course, I wasn't a part of like the paperwork and all that. I mean, I used to run the cash register at my mom's store like since I was my son's age actually, but never
Wow.
like inventory numbers, all those little nuances. But I feel like the customer service side is what I learned from both my dad and my mom. More so my mother because she like literally fed the community. Like she like made sure that she could make her money, but also she really was a nonprofit and a business structure too. Um, I just learned that I really don't have a difference between someone in a suit or someone that's like walking down the street with a shopping cart. Like it's
Mm.
all blurred to me. Everybody is just a person, and I learned
Mm-hmm.
that from my mother because of how we had to greet and treat people. And people will come to
Yeah.
her shop from out of town because they miss her fish. She used to make the best fried lake trout. And so I know that I learned that part. Now there's a lot of hiring people. The wind is blowing. Me as a filmmaker, I'm like, the wind is blowing the audio. Um, I know a lot about hiring people from my mother as well. Because when you have like food and anything retail, there's a lot of like theft and things like that. So I just learned how to navigate talking to people about those kind of things, just from being a young person, like watching her talk to them.
Yep.
And that also helped when I was working in youth development because I had a staff of people, and it helped me to be able to cultivate like a team environment. Just learning
Yeah.
those things, like you said, asking for help is like a big thing, and I had to relearn that. Even though I had already grew up watching that, I had to relearn that as a designer because I feel like design entrepreneurship is sometimes in these like silos, like because we're designers we feel like that's our art and we don't really want to share.
Mm-hmm.
But because of my lifestyle, because I started making a film before I had my son, which felt like a baby, um, I had to start outsourcing some things.
Yeah.
And then I would always add my design touches afterwards. But I would kind of like start thinking about how my entrepreneurship journey was going to be with help, similar to how my mom needed
Mm.
help, like just making
Mm.
sure everything got done. Um, so yeah, I
Wow.
learned so much from them. It's probably like things that'll just keep trickling in as the years go by, um, as it applies to both businesses that I have right now. But yeah,
Yeah. So how did they respond when you said, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm jumping out on my own? So entrepreneurs either respond like to me like one of two ways. Were they the ones like, no, don't do it, or the ones like, yes, yes, absolutely, we were waiting for you to take this leap? Like, how did they respond?
my mother is just accepting that I have a job. Like she knows that I eat, she knows that I can take care of what I need to. But she's just like, what do you do again? Because for her, entrepreneurship is like transactional that you can see. It's a
Yes,
product that
it's concrete.
someone.
If it's not,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Listen, I feel the
Yes.
same way. I've been in business now 8 years, and I don't know, the first five, my mother called me Tommy from Martin. You ain't got no job, Tommy.
That's
I
me.
swear, for like
I
five
have
years.
embraced being Tommy.
Yes, yes, because to your point, like
Yeah.
I'm not working a regular job, so I'm not going to a place. I don't have a place I have to be at every day at a certain time. And I'm not selling a product. And so it's not a tangible, like what I do is intangible to her. So, that's funny that your mother was like, what?
Yeah, and my dad, unfortunately, he passed when I was a teenager, but I just have a feeling because my dad is more of the type of entrepreneur that I am. I love being
Mm,
in events, even though I'm a designer. I love being out there, like helping authors sell their books and talking to people because of my parents and my aunt. Like I'm used to doing all that kind of work. Um, my dad was more like that. My mom is more calculated, even though she owned her business. She's very, very like smart about making sure things make sense.
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, let's go by the feeling. We'll make the money
yeah.
by the impact. And that is like a stretch still. But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
she sees me. I'm actually living with her now, so that's the only reason why she probably understands that I'm working.
yeah.
But I guess like because I'm outside right now. I mean, who's outside? Or I'm like, she'll
Right.
call me
And she on
sometimes
a
before.
restaurant. Like that
Yes,
is 24/7. That is
yes,
restaurant life is a different kind of lifestyle. And so yeah, like having downtime is like not a thing. Like, and not coming home like completely beat is not a thing. And so yeah, I can imagine that being like really, really, it's just very two very different lenses. And
it's fun
but
though
to your
helping
point
her
about,
understand.
what'd you say?
It's fun helping her like understand like the difference. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
because it is a large difference.
yeah. It's
But
huge.
she
It's
gets
huge.
it because she's starting to realize like I am her child, so I I learned a
Like, you
lot
gonna
from
figure
her.
it out.
Yeah.
She instilled the right stuff. She's like, I don't know. You might be just like your daddy. but but no, we need both types of entrepreneurs. And I think like you made a good point about, or the point you brought up about, like, she's more of the, like, the risk. She's not risk adverse, because you have to be a risk taker to own a business, like, period. So not risk adverse, but much more calculated, right? And much more like taking kind of logical and analytical steps in decision making. And then there are those of us who make our decisions from our gut, from our heart, from our intuition. And I think that I know for myself, I'm just learning that that's a way to make decisions too, right? Like, I think that we have only honored and valued the decision makers who are the calculated analytical. We have not
So
valued as
true.
much those who make decisions with their heart, with their gut, their intuition. And I don't think one is greater than the other. I think we need both. And I think when you
We
know
do.
you're one type of decision maker, having people in your space and that you work with that think differently than you, just it creates, more of a complete package and way of looking at a situation.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So you call yourself a storyteller, and I love this, an intuitive graphic designer. So there goes that, going with your feelings, your gut. Like, tell me more about what that means to you, both the storytelling piece and what that means to you as like a business owner. How do you, like, create a business for out of both of those things?
I feel like so much of my career has been based in helping people to build their story for their brand. And it's always, I mean, all of us in this work, we know it's not just marketing, it's like sharing your story. Um, so I feel like because I come from like my grandmother was a poet, so
Mm,
I've always been around this whole idea of like storytelling from a
mm-hmm,
writing perspective, but from she also was an orator, so like from an oral perspective. So when I
mm-hmm,
help clients, I'm also bringing that experience with me. So I'm
mm-hmm,
always thinking about how their brand is going to affect every kind of aspect of what an audience might need.
mm-hmm.
So that's why I try to say now that I'm a storyteller, because I feel like I'm helping you to hone in on what your story is. Um,
Yeah, for
and I
sure.
feel like because of that, I'm not just a regular graphic designer anymore. I don't need to be, and kudos to anyone who is in that space where they're like, I'm going to do my art, and yes, this is going to be my design. I'm not attached to that anymore. I'm attached to getting things completed. So
Mm-hmm,
it's taboo, but I design things in Canva. I use Photoshop sometimes, but I also, because I want my clients to be able to be able to have access to what they're working through. Because
yeah,
sometimes I might not be there. I have,
yeah,
it's a kid,
yeah,
running around it.
yeah.
So I just try to make it so that it's like, that's why it's called Design Collab. I wanted to call it Design Collaboration, but I was like, let me just shorten it up just a little bit because I've been going through by my own name for a long time. But because it's like it's going to be a collaboration, it's still a collaboration. I'm always working with other people. I don't plan on doing this kind of design work in a solid space.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I'm just past that as a person now. I just need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
No,
where the
that's
intuitive design comes from.
That's beautiful. Like we do, we take on so much and we do so many elements of a thing. And I know as a client, a design client, it helps us so much for a designer to put the design in Canva, because otherwise we are having to reach out to you for little minor things like, oh, flip the order of these words, like things that are really not about the design anymore. Like you've given me the design and now I want to change the date. The event's not going to be that date, it's going to be this date. And you are working on the next thing and I'm waiting 3 days to get the date changed because you're married to certain systems. So I love that, one, as a client, but two, for yourself, like the recognition and the realization of like, I need help in this. And if I'm going to be a solopreneur, I have to create systems that allow me to still get support and still get help while I do the thing that I need to do, and the things that I don't have to do. I need to create systems that other people can plug into and do them with me or for themselves. And so kudos to you. That's probably your
Oh, thank
mother.
you. I'm trying. Yes.
That's
Yep. Yep.
probably your mother. Her influence of like having, systems and structures in place for that. So that's beautiful. And again, as a client, yes, thank you, because working with a graphic designer and having to wait to get them to take that extra the out is stressful for everybody. Like you want to be done with it. I just want the right
For us
thing.
too. Yes.
Yeah, like I'm sure it's like, oh, I'm done with this. So yeah, that's amazing. I love that. There's some feedback for you as a true like user of services. It's very helpful to the client as well. So yeah, how did you turn these like passions into a business and these skills? Like how did you go from I work for someone and these are things I like to do to like I'm doing this. This is like how I'm making my life and my living now.
Honestly, I can't take full credit. It was a lot of mentors around me
Mm,
who were just like, yeah, you might as well just go ahead and start a business.
mm,
Because like I said, I guess I did already kind of have a business, but it was just like, okay, just give me $30, or just give
mm.
me a few dollars for that, versus like having a rate sheet and
Yeah.
like having a website or doing advertisements. But I'm grateful for those people who told me, who nudged me, because they have consistently over the last 12 years sent me clients. Um,
Wow.
and I do
That's
need to do better
awesome.
marketing. I will be doing better marketing in the future.
That's awesome.
But I've been blessed to be like literally 100% referral based.
Wow.
I really am just want to just have hit the struck gold, and I'm just grateful. Um, so yeah, I just I really can't take full credit for what pushed me to become an entrepreneur, because really I would have been fine if I helped my mother with her business if she decided to keep
Mhm.
it going. Um,
Mhm. So was your mother disappointed? I know a lot of parents, a lot of us are starting businesses and we're like thinking about that legacy component to it and what it means to like build something and leave a legacy and it still exists and all of that. Was your mother disappointed or was she like, okay, I get it. This is your journey?
I think that, well, my mom actually really wanted to get out of the restaurant business, so she found a job, but she was like, "Oh, I'm gone."
Oh, wow.
So she actually doesn't want us to get involved in it because of the horrors she feels so attached to it. And actually, we gave a fish fry Good Friday just in recognition of the neighborhood is like so different now. Um, and it's just like people just needed that like love, I feel. So
Yeah.
we gave a fish
Yeah.
fry. She fought me the whole time, but she enjoyed it.
Oh,
And
that's
we
beautiful.
did that a few years ago. Um, so yeah, we'll do it sporadically over the years. Because I mean, nobody can like make greens and macaroni and all of that like my mother. So we can't be doing it often because she's going to
Now,
burn out.
which
Because she's
one of
70 now.
these joints did your mother own? Which place was this?
It was called Eastside Deli. It was oh, it looks like my connection is going in and out. It was called Eastside Deli. It was off of Patterson and Chase Street on the east side of
Okay.
Baltimore.
I did not live over that way. We stay on our sides of town. But we go where we go. I've never been there, but I'm like, man, let me know when the next fish fry is because
I will let you know. I definitely
yes,
will.
please do.
Yeah,
Please do.
we exceeded my expectations, even though because I'm floating off that it's the energy vibe. I'm like, Ma, we're gonna sell out. We had like
Had
a small
hadn't
issue
done
where
any analysis, no numbers, just my
uh-huh,
energy
no
says we're
no
gonna
numbers.
sell out.
I did a chart. I made a chart and I had my original plan and that was it. Everything else was off of feeling and the community, and we used the same fish company that she used like in the 80s and 90s, like in the early 2000s. And I was like, it was nostalgia. I'm like, Ma, it's nostalgia, okay? It's like divine timing. Um, and we really ended up selling out. But what happened was the fish company gave us more fish by mistake. It was a mistake situation, but we sold out of the fish that I had originally planned to order. So technically, like we just did so well. It was such a great
Oh,
day.
that's beautiful.
Um,
Well, maybe it'll help her to trust your intuition a little bit. You're going on a feeling.
yeah,
So, so I have like two more questions. Well, no, I have a couple more, but we're gonna wrap up in the next 8 to 10 minutes. But why is storytelling so important? How does it help businesses grow?
I feel like because I help authors self-publish books as well. It's like there's nothing more powerful to me than a good story. I mean, everybody knows
Hmm.
this. I mean, that's why we are attached to the brands that we attach to. But I think sometimes for especially like smaller nonprofits and smaller businesses, they kind of forget that their story is valid. And
Hmm.
there's a train.
I hear it.
Sometimes, yes, I'm in Canton. It's like this train that,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, it's always jumping.
yes. I feel like I end up most of the time convincing people that like what you just told me in this meeting is what we need to be writing down. Like you
Mm,
just told
mm-hmm.
me that you started like selling things out of your car and now into like having a brick and mortar. Like we need to be telling that story because it's people
Yeah,
similar to you that need to know
yeah,
that. And sometimes
yeah,
people just stop at they sometimes I feel like I notice they start their story at their first success when it's like that's
yeah,
not your story.
yeah,
Your story is how you was on the ground, okay? Like that's what
yeah,
people want to hear. So I feel like to me that part of storytelling is important. And just because I've been around a poet and helping people make stories, I kind of can ask some questions in regular meetings to not make it intrusive, like
yeah.
just to kind of help them like get into the space where, because most of us small entrepreneurs, we're in like sometimes survival mode. If we're thriving,
Mm-hmm,
like that's a luxury. So it's
mm-hmm.
like, what can I do to like get this business card done and a flyer done? And then, but it's really like it's gonna be dry like everybody else's. So how can we like tell you what you're about?
Yeah, yeah, who you are. So for someone who is having a hard time, like wrapping their mind around, like I've got a story to tell, and that they have a story, what is one question that you might suggest to them to like think about, to like reflect on, so that their story can come up for them and that they can think about ways to tell it?
I feel like I would go all the way back and ask them, what have their ancestors taught them about the journey that they've been on as an entrepreneur?
Mm,
Because to me, like just thinking about the people before you, it takes
mhm.
your mind out of like everything that's happening in front of you. It kind of gives you
Mhm.
that grounding.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of like a tree, like it gives you like where your roots are. Because sometimes we're just like stuck in like making sure we have leaves. So for me,
Mm.
it's like it's going back as far as I can,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't have a lot of time. Like I try to keep meetings to about 30, 45 minutes because I still have mommy brain, and I'm like, that's my good time to really talk to you. Um, but in that time, I don't have a lot of time to ask you like 1,000 questions like I used to. So I'm trying to get to
Right.
the basis,
Right.
like what will your people be proud of you for doing right now? Like what would they say?
Mm.
um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So, so I'm gonna ask you then, because I know you say your father's an ancestor now. What would he say? What would he be proud of?
My father was like a singer. He was just like a joking kind of person. So I'm sure he would be like, he would first probably give me a carnation because that was like his thing. And then he would just sing like something like, "Baby, you know you're doing a good job," or something like that. He had a good voice. It's like imagine Luther Vandross with a little rasp behind it. It was
Okay.
like so good.
Okay.
But I feel like my
Wow.
dad was so like yes. My dad was so like a people's person, so he would just be like hyping it up, like just so excited. And sometimes I
Wow.
just let myself imagine what he would say because I feel
Yeah.
like I know at times I can feel him around me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
without
No, that's
getting too stupid,
beautiful.
I definitely feel it.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So, one of our pillars in the well is collaboration. Who is, and I ask this question a lot, who is someone, and you are Design Collab, who do you want to collaborate with? Who do you love, admire, watch their work, want to collaborate with, and like what would y'all do together?
um, so me with my filmmaker hat, I still have hopes to collaborate with Ava DuVernay. We
Mm.
were like so close, so many times to like hitting the mark where it's like, woo, your film is like out there, out there. Ava really
Mm-hmm.
did a great job, and I actually got a chance to meet her in person a few months ago, and I swear she like gave me the "Hey girl" nod.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's definitely a partner I would love to have, and also this is random, but I'm always thinking about like I want to because I cry a lot now, and I just want to do a partnership with Kleenex to like do one of their like design
Okay.
boxes.
Yeah, I
That's
love
so
it.
random, but
So like do some design work for Kleenex. Okay.
yes,
And partner with Ava DuVernay on some film work. So I have a good friend who is from Baltimore as well, a film director who has done some work with Ava DuVernay. So look, you are close. You are close.
it's like we always stuck
So and I asked that question because you never know who's watching these, you never know who they know. And that's how it works. That's how it happens, right? Like somebody knows somebody, somebody is in that room and can make connections. And so that question isn't
together.
just a question to just throw out there. Like it is an intentional one because you just don't know who the next person knows, and saying what it is that you want, a lot of times we have not, because we asked not, right? We haven't said it
Yes, yes,
out loud. We haven't haven't professed our desire for it. So I'm believing that you are very close to that, and I'm excited. I'll be excited to hear that come to pass for you. And so, in closing, how do people get in touch with you? If people want to work with you on Design Collab, if people want to, so for your graphic design work, if there are people listening who are looking to self-publish their book, how do people get in touch with you?
So the easiest way I would say is to go to my website. It's Nikiea.com, and that's Nikiea.com. There's also getpublishedyourway.com site, and let's design collab.com. Um, and then also you can
Awesome.
follow me on Instagram. It's designed by Nikiea. Because I was so similar. Um,
So
yes.
simple. We have so many, and so I know you. I heard you say your son's name, and I'm like, my son's name is Asher, and you said Ashton, and I'm like, wow, like so many similarities. So thank you so much for your time, Nikiea, for your insights, for your
Thank
wisdom.
you.
Looking forward to hearing and like being in community with you as your business grows and evolves
Yes.
and new opportunities come about. Thank you for bringing all your genius to the well.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much and appreciate you always.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, thank y'all for joining us for another Well Women Wednesday, and we will see you very, very soon. If you don't subscribe already, subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Well Network. Period. Literally. Period. So make sure you put that period. And we will see you very soon. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nikiea.
See you.